क्या तुम तैयार हो?
Yes, sir!
दुश्मन को बता दो कि 19 लॉन्चर्स आ रहे हैं।
Yes, sir!
The Americans are trapped at this location. Afridi ordered the men to prepare for the rescue operation.
Yes, sir.
Somalia in the early 1990s had collapsed into complete anarchy. The government had fallen, the national army had disintegrated, and the country was carved apart by armed militias. Famine swept through the population. This was not because food was scarce, but because it was stolen, weaponized and controlled by the militia. The streets belonged to warlords. One man dominated Mogadishu, Mohammed Farah Aidid. A former general turned warlord, he sought absolute control of the capital and resisted any force that threatened his authority. To him, foreign troops were not peacekeepers, they were enemies. The United Nations, backed by the United States, entered Somalia to stop the humanitarian disaster. American forces arrived alongside coalition partners, including the Pakistani army, tasked with stabilizing the city and enforcing UN authority. Operation Restore Hope was launched to secure aid routes and protect relief efforts. The situation escalated rapidly. In June 1993, Aidid's militia ambushed a Pakistani peacekeeping unit, killing multiple Pakistani soldiers. The attack shocked the United Nations and marked a turning point. The mission was no longer just about feeding the starving. It became a manhunt. Aidid was declared an enemy and was to be hunted down. On 3rd October 1993, General William F. Garrison, the overall commander of Task Force Ranger, authorized a daylight raid into the heart of Mogadishu as part of Operation Gothic Serpent. The objective was to capture senior lieutenants of Mohammed Farah Aidid during a secret meeting. The force was composed of America's elite, a total of 160 soldiers from the 75th Ranger Regiment and Delta Force, and over a dozen helicopters from the vaunted 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. The Rangers secured the perimeter around the target building, while the Delta operators landed on the rooftop to capture the targets. The Americans were now ready for extraction. The mission was only supposed to take 30 minutes, but at 3:42 p.m., the unexpected happened. The mission was compromised. All the American soldiers inside the city were ordered to set up a perimeter around the crash site. Under heavy enemy fire, the Americans push their way to Super 6-1, while a segment of the convoy carrying the hostages leaves back for base. But then 20 minutes later, Super 6-4 also gets hit. The The Americans finally reached Super 6-1 and set up defensive positions. At this point, the whole city of Mogadishu came crashing down on the Americans. The fighting raged on into the night. The Americans had sustained dozens of casualties and were no longer in a position to mobilize. The landing zone was too hot and an extraction by air was impossible. They were pinned down in the hornet's nest, with the enemy at their doorsteps prepared to massacre them in cold blood. The crash site of Super 6-4 had already been overrun, multiple Americans killed, and the wounded pilot was captured by the militia. General Garrison, realizing the dire situation of his men, contacted the United Nations Command in Somalia for heavy armored support. Through the UN command system, the order for armored support was passed to the Pakistani army contingent.
Yes, sir. My men are ready for this mission.
They were supported by a contingent of Malaysian APCs and the American 10th Mountain Division. Indian forces were also present in the city, but refused to take part in this operation.
The Americans are trapped at this location. Afridi ordered the men to prepare for the rescue operation.
Yes, sir.
Pakistani 1st Sindh, 15th FF and 19th Lancers Regiment would take part in this operation.
सिपाहियों, क्या तुम तैयार हो?
Yes, sir!
दुश्मन को बता दो कि 19 लांसर्स आ रहे हैं।
Yes, sir!
Despite not having night vision capability, Pakistani armor rolled out onto the streets of Mogadishu. The memory of their own fallen comrades, slain by the hands of the militia a few months ago, was still fresh in their minds. Along the way, the Pakistanis linked up with the Malaysians and Americans. The Pakistani armor led this convoy, with their tanks being the spearhead of it. The path to the crash site was full of hostiles waiting for the convoy. Battling its way through Mogadishu, the convoy finally made it to the crash site.
The convoy is here!
All the American soldiers were loaded into the convoy. There were strict orders to make sure no one gets left behind.
Keep moving, come on.
Captain Imran was the last man to leave the crash site, making sure everyone got on board the convoy. At dawn, the convoy moved out of the crash site and made its way back to the Pakistani stadium. Units of the Pakistani Medical Corps at the stadium were informed to prep themselves as they would be receiving lots of wounded men momentarily.
Yes, sir. The medics are ready.
At the stadium, the American soldiers were provided first aid before they were transported back to their own base. Later, a Pakistani JCO reported the following.
सर, अमेरिकी हमारे परचम को सलामी दे रहे हैं.
This was a symbol of gratitude to the Pakistanis for fighting shoulder to shoulder with them and showing up in their darkest hour.